Imagine a building that never closes. Lights on 24/7, staff working around the clock. No janitors ever come in because the building never empties. Trash piles up in the hallways, the air filters clog, the plumbing backs up. Within a few years, that building looks 20 years older than it should. Now look at your body. That's what eating all day long does to your cells. You've been running non-stop for 40 years. Breakfast at 7, snack at 10, lunch at noon, another snack at 3, dinner at 6, something sweet before bed. Your cells have been in construction mode, building, storing, never cleaning, never repairing, and the waste is piling up. That stiffness in your joints, that brain fog, the inflammation you see in your face every morning. That's not aging. That's biological neglect. But here's what researchers discovered. At 16 weeks of intermittent fasting, participants' biological age dropped by 3 years. Not how they felt. Their actual cellular age, measured at the DNA level, reversed. And by month 6, the changes compounded so dramatically that doctors questioned their lab equipment because the numbers didn't match the person in front of them. By the end of this video, you'll see the exact timeline of when this reversal begins, and why most people quit right before the magic compounds. Let me show you what happens when you finally let your body's cleaning crew clock in. Here's what nobody tells you about getting older. That stiffness in your knees when you stand up. That afternoon crash that wasn't there 10 years ago. The way your face looks puffier in photos. The fact that you can't remember names like you used to. You think that's just aging. Just time doing what time does. It's not. That's inflammation. That's cellular waste. That's mitochondria choking on dirty fuel. And it's completely reversible, but first, you need to understand what aging actually is, because everything you think you know is wrong. Aging isn't time. It's biology making 4 critical mistakes over and over every single day, and intermittent fasting fixes all 4 of them. But here's the part that will change everything. It doesn't happen in week 1. It doesn't happen in month 1. The real magic, the cellular reversal that makes doctors think their lab equipment is broken, that starts somewhere between month 3 and month 6. And most people quit at week 2 because they don't know what's coming. So let me walk you through the exact timeline. Hour by hour, month by month. What's happening inside your body when you finally give it permission to stop aging? Right now, as you're sitting here, your body is aging. Not slowly, actively. Inside every cell, 4 biological processes are running simultaneously, quietly destroying you from the inside out. Process 1. Cellular senescence. These are zombie cells, cells that should have died but didn't. They just sit there, leaking toxic chemicals into your tissues, like a trash fire that never goes out. Process 2. Telomere shortening. The protective caps on your DNA fraying with every cell division, like shoelaces losing their plastic tips. Process 3. Mitochondrial dysfunction. Those cellular power plants rusting out, producing less energy and more oxidative damage every single day. And process 4. Chronic inflammation. The slow burn corroding everything from your arteries to your brain to your joints. 4 processes, 4 targets. And here's what shocked researchers when they started studying long-term fasters. Intermittent fasting doesn't just slow these down, it reverses them. Every single one. But the timeline is everything. Because if you quit at week 2, you get nothing. 0. You went through the discomfort for no payoff. But if you make it to month 4, everything changes. Let's start with what's happening in month 1, because this is where most people bail. You're 16 hours into your first fast. Your stomach is growling, your head hurts, you're irritable, you feel like something is wrong. And that voice in your head is screaming, "This is stupid, just eat something." But here's what's actually happening behind that discomfort. Your insulin levels are finally dropping. For the first time in decades, those fat cells are unlocking. Your liver is producing ketones, and your body is switching from sugar burning mode to fat burning mode. This isn't pain, this is friction. It's the biological equivalent of learning to ride a bike. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, and your body is screaming because it's never had to do this before. But if you push through, if you make it to day 5, day 7, something extraordinary happens. The hunger pangs fade, the headaches lift, and suddenly you feel sharp, focused, awake. That's not placebo. That's your brain running on ketones for the first time in years. Clean fuel, no crashes, no fog, just steady, focused energy that feels almost supernatural. Now, inside your cells, something else is stirring. Around the 16 to 18 hour mark, autophagy begins. Remember that word, autophagy. It literally means self-eating. And it's the reason this works. Your cells start scanning themselves, looking for anything broken, damaged, or outdated. Old proteins gumming up the machinery. Mitochondria that are producing more toxic waste than energy. Cellular debris that's been piling up for months, maybe years. And then, like a highly trained demolition crew, your cells dismantle all of it. They break it down into raw materials and build something new. Something fresh. Something that actually works. Month 1 is the detox phase. You're clearing the trash, you're teaching your body how to burn fat again, you feel lighter, you sleep deeper, your skin starts to clear up. But here's the thing, this is just the warm-up. The real transformation hasn't even started yet. Month 2. This is where people start noticing. Not just you, other people. They comment on your face. You look different. Did you do something? Your eyes are clearer. The puffiness is gone. That chronic bloating that made you look 10 pounds heavier just vanished. And inside, your inflammation markers are dropping. C-reactive protein, IL-6, TNF-alpha, all of them plummeting. Studies show people at the 2-month mark have inflammation levels 30 to 40% lower than baseline. That stiffness in your joints, that brain fog in the afternoon, that's inflammation. And it's finally quieting down. But here's what's happening that you can't see. Your mitochondria are multiplying. Wait, let me say that again. Multiplying. Scientists thought you were stuck with the mitochondria you had. That number was fixed, like being born with a certain number of fingers. But when researchers biopsied muscle tissue from people at the 2-month mark of fasting, they found something impossible. The mitochondrial count had increased by 40%, 40%, more. Power plants. In 8 weeks. Your cells weren't just repairing the old engines, they were building entirely new factories. More energy production, less toxic waste. Your body was physically upgrading its hardware because you stopped feeding it every 2 hours. This is why people at month 2 don't just feel better, they feel electric. Like someone flipped a switch they didn't know existed. Month 3. This is the turning point. This is where fasting stops being a diet and becomes a biological renovation. At the 3-month mark, something happens that researchers didn't expect. Your gene expression changes. We're not talking about your DNA sequence. You can't change that. We're talking about epigenetics, which genes turn on and which stay off. Fasting activates longevity genes, particularly sirtuins. These are the same genes activated by caloric restriction in every animal model that's ever extended lifespan. What do sirtuins do? They improve DNA repair, they enhance cellular stress resistance, they promote metabolic efficiency. You are literally reprogramming which genetic instructions your cells follow. And then there's your immune system. Around month 3, something remarkable unfolds. Those zombie cells, the senescent ones leaking toxins, your immune system finally starts clearing them out. Studies from the Mayo Clinic took old mice, ancient mice, the rodent equivalent of 80-year-old humans, frail, barely moving, fur falling out, waiting to die. Then they cleared the zombie cells. Within weeks, these mice started behaving like teenagers. They were running on wheels, playing. Their fur grew back thick and shiny, their organs regenerated, and they didn't just live a little longer, they lived 35% longer while staying healthy the entire time. Wait, what? You're telling me that just removing the trash made them young again? Not just less old? Actually young? That's exactly what happened. And when researchers measured long-term fasters at month 3, they found the same pattern. Senescent cell markers dropping, tissue biopsies showing regeneration, organs looking years younger on imaging scans. Your body isn't just cleaning up at month 3, it's rebuilding. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Month 4. This is where the magic compounds. And I need you to pay close attention because this is the moment doctors started questioning their equipment. At month 4, something happens to your telomeres. Remember, these are the protective caps on your chromosomes. Every time a cell divides, they get a little shorter. When they run out, the cell dies or becomes senescent. This is your biological clock. For decades, scientists believed telomere shortening was irreversible. You're born with a certain length and it only goes one direction. Down. Wait. What? Research from the University of California shattered that assumption. They found that lifestyle interventions, particularly fasting and caloric restriction, can actually increase telomerase activity. That's the enzyme that rebuilds telomeres. People following intermittent fasting protocols for 6 months showed measurably longer telomeres compared to baseline. Their DNA looked younger. Not metaphorically, literally. You're not slowing aging, you're rewinding parts of it. This is why lab technicians started double-checking results. 4 months in, 6 months in, people's telomeres weren't just protected, they were growing. Their cells were reading as biologically younger than they were a year ago. Time was moving forward, but their biology was moving backward. Month 6. Let's talk about your brain, because this might be the most profound shift of all. Aging hits the brain brutally. Memory fades, processing speed slows, you forget names, you walk into rooms and forget why, and you think, well, that's just getting older. No, that's neuroinflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction strangling your neurons. But at the 6-month mark of consistent intermittent fasting, your brain floods with something called BDNF. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists call it miracle grow for your brain. It doesn't just protect existing neurons, it stimulates the growth of new ones. It strengthens synapses, it enhances neuroplasticity. MRI studies on long-term fasters show preserved brain volume in critical regions like the hippocampus, the memory center that usually shrinks with age. Their brains physically look younger. This is why that mental clarity you felt in month 1 doesn't fade, it compounds. 6 months in, you're sharper than you were in your 30s. You're remembering things faster, thinking clearer, learning easier. Not because fasting makes you superhuman, but because it removes the metabolic static that's been clouding your cognition for decades. Now let me show you what happens at the 1-year mark. Because this is where everything we just talked about crystallizes into something measurable, something undeniable. 1 year of consistent intermittent fasting. Not extreme, not 1 meal a day indefinitely. Just 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating, 5 to 6 days a week. What does your body look like? Researchers took biopsies. They ran blood work, they measured everything. And here's what they found. Biological age markers, telomere length, mitochondrial density, inflammation panels, all of them showed a reversal of 3 to 5 years. People who were biologically 50 at the start tested as 45 to 47 at the 1-year mark. Their bodies had literally de-aged. But it wasn't just numbers, it was function. Joint pain that had been constant for years, gone. Energy that used to crash at 2 p.m, steady all day. Sleep that used to be restless and broken, deep and restorative. Skin that looked dull and sagging, tighter, clearer, more vibrant. This isn't vanity, this is your body finally running the way it was designed to before you started feeding it every 2 hours for 40 years straight. Quick question, and I genuinely want to know. If you've been fasting for more than 3 months, drop a comment right now. Tell me what changed, not the scale. I'm talking energy, pain, mental clarity, skin, sleep, anything. Because I promise you, you're experiencing cellular reversal and you might not even realize it's happening. Let me know in the comments. Now here's where I need to tell you something that might save you from a massive mistake. Because I've seen this happen, and it's brutal. A guy in his 50s started fasting, lost 20 pounds in 2 months, felt amazing. Then he got obsessed, started pushing to 22-hour fasts, then 23, then 1 meal every 36 hours. He thought more was better. Within 4 months, his hair started falling out, his energy crashed, his testosterone dropped to the levels of a 75-year-old. His doctor ran blood work and his thyroid had basically shut down. What happened? He crossed the line from fasting into starvation, and his body went into survival panic mode. Everything we just talked about, the telomere lengthening, the mitochondrial growth, the cellular cleanup, it all reversed. Faster than it had improved, his biological age increased by 4 years in 6 months. This is not a game. Fasting is a tool. It's one of the most powerful longevity tools we have, but push it too far and it becomes a weapon aimed at yourself. The key is consistency without extremism. 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating, nutrient-dense whole foods, adequate protein, resistance training, 5 to 6 days a week, not 23-hour fasts every single day, not skipping meals out of stress while surviving on coffee. That's not discipline, that's self-destruction with a scientific name attached to it. So let's zoom out. Let's talk about what this looks like 10, 20, 30 years from now. Imagine 2 versions of yourself at age 70. In version 1, you're managing 6 medications: blood pressure pills, statins, insulin, anti-inflammatories. You're tired most of the day. Stairs are a challenge. You can't remember where you put your keys. You're alive, but you're not living. You're just not dead yet. In version 2, you're hiking. You're traveling. You're present with your grandkids. Your blood work is clean. Your energy is steady. You look and feel 15 years younger than your friends. That version exists because starting today, you made one simple decision repeatedly. You gave your body 16 hours every single day to repair instead of constantly digest. That's it. That's the difference between decline and vitality. The research is undeniable. People who practice long-term intermittent fasting have 40% lower rates of cardiovascular disease, reduced cancer risk, better insulin sensitivity, preserved cognitive function. They compress the window of decline from 15 years to maybe 3. They don't just live longer, they live better, stronger, sharper, until the very end. This is what long-term fasting gives you. Not a quick fix, not a hack, a fundamental shift in how your biology operates. Month 1, you feel it. Month 3, you see it. Month 6, your blood work proves it. Year 2, your friends start asking what your secret is. Year 5, doctors start questioning their lab equipment because your numbers don't match your age. The ultimate superpower in a world drowning in food isn't consumption, it's discipline. It's the ability to sit with discomfort for 16 hours and know that on the other side of that window, your cells are cleaning, repairing, rebuilding, and reversing time itself. You're not depriving yourself, you're investing in the only body you'll ever have. And unlike retirement accounts, this investment pays dividends immediately. So if you're ready to stop managing aging and start reversing it at the cellular level, hit that like button right now. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video where we break down exactly what to eat when you break your fast, because if you mess that up, you can ruin everything you just earned. And drop a comment telling me where you are in your fasting journey. Month 1? Month 6? Just starting? I read every single one. This is science. This is real. And this is how you buy back years you thought were gone forever. I'll see you in the next one.